Humanity had always been small on the galactic map. For centuries, the galaxy was ruled by old species. Ancient empires controlled star lanes, trade routes, and laws of war. Humans were late arrivals. They came from a yellow star system, fragile bodies, short lives, and loud opinions. Most alien races thought humans would never survive long among the stars. At first, humans tried peace. They signed treaties. They paid taxes to pass through alien space. They accepted limits on ship size, weapon power, and fleet numbers. The Galactic Council said these rules were for balance. Humans knew it was fear. Fear that humans learned to fast. Still, humanity followed the rules. Until the day the rules failed them. The war did not begin with an invasion or a grand declaration. It began with silence. A human colony named ES7 stopped responding. It was a small world, barely defended. Families lived there, miners, engineers, children. When the first rescue signal finally reached Earth, it was broken and weak. The message ended with one word: running. A human patrol fleet was sent immediately. What they found shocked everyone. ES-7 was gone. The planet was cracked. Its surface burned black. Cities were turned to dust. There were no survivors. Alien energy signatures were still fresh. This was not an accident. It was a message. The attackers were the Car Dominion, one of the oldest powers in the galaxy, cold, logical, and proud. They believed humans were expanding too fast, breaking limits, becoming dangerous. So they decided to erase a warning. The Galactic Council responded slowly. Meetings were held, words were exchanged, regrets were shared. No punishment came. The Car Dominion claimed the attack was a border correction. Humans asked for justice. They received silence. That was the moment everything changed. Earth did not declare war. No speeches were made. No threats were sent. Instead, human leadership did something the galaxy did not expect. They went quiet. Shipyards stopped broadcasting activity. Military channels went dark. Even human traders pulled back from deep space. To the galaxy, it looked like fear, like surrender. But it was not. Deep inside the Sol system, beyond public censors, humanity began to work. They studied every battle they had ever lost, every treaty that failed, every alien weapon system. Human engineers, scientists, and strategists were gathered into one program. It had no official name, only a simple purpose: never again. The problem was clear. Human fleets were too weak to fight the old empires head-on. Even united, humanity would lose a long war. So they asked a different question. What if one ship was enough? Not a fleet, not an armada, a single battleship that could stand alone. A ship that could fight entire fleets and survive. A ship so powerful that rules would no longer matter. The idea was considered madness. The Galactic Council had strict laws. No ship could exceed certain mass. No weapon could break certain limits. No shield could bend space itself. Humans decided to break every rule at once. They did not care if the galaxy approved. They cared only that no human world would burn again. Construction began in the dark, near the edge of the solar system. The shipyard was hidden inside an artificial nebula, masking all signals. Millions of workers rotated in silence. No names were recorded. No history kept. The ship grew slowly, piece by piece. Its hull was layered with adaptive alloy that learned from damage. Its core used experimental energy systems that even humans barely understood. Weapons were designed not just to destroy, but to control space itself. Gravity was bent. Time was distorted. Every system had one goal: overwhelming survival. While the ship was built, the war spread. The Car Dominion attacked more human colonies. Trade ships vanished. Refugees flooded Earth and Mars. The Galactic Council continued to debate while humans died. Other species watched carefully. Some felt pity, others felt relief. Humanity, they thought, would soon be broken. No one noticed the energy spikes far from Sol. No one saw the shadow growing in the dark. When the ship was finally complete, only a handful of humans had seen it in full. Even they felt fear. It was enormous, silent, waiting. It did not have a name. Names give things limits. The first test would not be announced. No warning would be sent. The galaxy would learn the truth the same way humans did, through fire. And somewhere, in deep space, a car battle group moved toward another human colony, confident, unchallenged, and completely unaware that the rules of war were about to end. The car battle group arrived at the human colony Lumen Reach with full confidence. They had done this before. Human defenses were weak, old ships, slow weapons, predictable tactics. The car commander expected a short operation, destroy orbital stations, burn the surface, leave a warning behind. But something was wrong. Long range. Sensors showed nothing. No human fleet. No distress calls. No civilian evacuation traffic. The colony was quiet to quiet. That made the car uneasy, but not afraid. Then space moved. At first, it looked like a shadow forming where there should be empty stars. The sensors tried to adjust, but the data made no sense. Gravity readings spiked. Light bent in strange ways. The car commander ordered full alert. Too late. The shadow unfolded. A single human ship emerged from folded space, larger than anything the car had ever seen. Its hull was dark, smooth, and covered in glowing blue lines that pulsed like a living heart. It did not broadcast an identity. It did not send a warning. It simply arrived. The car fleet opened fire immediately, plasma beams, kinetic rounds, and energy lances crossed space in a deadly storm. Any normal ship would have been torn apart in seconds. The human ship did not move. The attack struck its shields and vanished, absorbed like rain on stone. The blue lines on the hull glowed, brighter, reacting, learning. The car commander felt something unfamiliar. Fear. He ordered a full retreat. The human ship finally responded. Space itself twisted. One of the car cruisers suddenly lost gravity control. Its hull folded inward as if squeezed by an invisible hand. In less than a second, it collapsed into a glowing sphere and disappeared. No explosion, no debris, just gone. The remaining car ships tried to jump to hyperspace. They failed. The human ship had locked the area, controlling space like a cage. Then the weapons changed. Beams of focused energy cut through car shields as if they were paper. Precision strikes disabled engines, weapons, and life support. Some ships were destroyed, others were left drifting, powerless. The battle lasted 3 minutes. When it ended, the car battle group no longer existed. The human ship remained silent and untouched. For the first time in recorded galactic history, an ancient empire had lost an entire fleet to a single vessel. Human command finally spoke. A simple transmission was sent across all open channels. This colony is under human protection, nothing more. The message spread faster than the battle itself. Alien traders panicked. Military leaders demanded reports. The Galactic Council called emergency sessions. Sensor data was replayed again and again, but no one could explain what they were seeing. One ship, no losses, no damage. The car Dominion was stunned. They sent scouts, none returned. They sent diplomats. Their messages were ignored. For the first time, the car realized they had made a mistake that could not be corrected. Meanwhile, the human ship moved. It did not attack car worlds. It did not hunt civilians. Instead, it appeared wherever human lives were threatened. Pirates vanished. Blockades failed. Occupied colonies were free without invasion. The ship never chased. It waited. Human refugees began to return home. Trade routes reopened under human escort. For the first time, humans did not ask permission to exist. Other species watched carefully. Some felt hope, others felt terror. The Galactic Council finally demanded contact. They requested negotiations, explanations, limits. The human response came from Earth, calm and clear. Humanity followed your rules. Humanity paid the price. We will not do that again. The council asked for the ship's name. The answer was simple. It is not a ship. It is a promise. Behind the scenes, humans prepared for the next step. The galaxy now knew humanity had power. But power alone was not enough. Old empires do not surrender easily. The car Dominion began to mobilize its full war fleets. Ancient weapons were awakened. Allies were called in. The galaxy stood on the edge of something it had never faced before. A war where rules no longer applied, and the human ship turned toward car space, not with anger, but with absolute certainty, because humanity had learned a hard truth. Peace only lasts until someone decides you're weak, and humanity would never be weak again. The galaxy felt the tension before the war truly began. Star systems grew quiet. Trade slowed. Military fleets moved into hidden positions. Everyone knew the car Dominion was preparing something massive. They were proud to accept defeat, especially by a species they once called insignificant. Inside car space, ancient shipyards awakened. Vessels that had not flown in thousands of years were pulled from storage. Planet-sized cannons were brought online. The car believed numbers and old power would solve everything. They were wrong. The human ship entered car-controlled space without resistance. No patrol dared approach it. Sensors across dozens of systems tracked its movement, yet none could predict its path. It did not travel in straight lines. It bent space, appearing where it wanted, when it wanted. The car high command finally made a decision. They would destroy it with overwhelming force. 3 full car armadas gathered near the Starveth Prime. Thousands of ships formed layered formations, supported by heavy stations and orbital weapons. This was not a warning strike. It was a trap. When the human ship appeared, alarms screamed across the system. The car did not hesitate. Every weapon fired at once. The star itself seemed to vanish behind the storm of energy. Space shook as gravity waves, antimatter bursts, and stellar cannons hit the human ship from all directions. For the first time, the human ship moved. It advanced slowly, pushing through the attack as if walking through a strong wind. Its shields adapted in real time, changing shape and frequency. Damage that should have been fatal was repaired instantly by self-rebuilding systems. Then the human ship changed the battlefield. It released a controlled gravity field that spread across the system. Car formations broke apart. Ships collided. Long-range weapons lost accuracy. Communication links failed as space itself refused to behave normally. One car admiral ordered a suicide charge. Hundreds of ships rushed forward, hoping to overwhelm the human ship at close range. They never reached it. Time slowed around the human vessel. Car ships appeared to freeze. Their momentum stolen. One by one, they were pushed aside, crushed, or simply removed from reality. No chaos, no noise. Just absolute control. The car armadas collapsed within minutes. Those who survived sent desperate reports. Their weapons were useless. Their strategies meaningless. The human ship was not fighting like a fleet. It was rewriting the rules of combat. Across the galaxy, species watched in shock. Some celebrated quietly. Others feared that humanity had gone too far. The Galactic Council panicked. Emergency laws were proposed. Limits were discussed. Bans were drafted against space manipulating weapons, against ships of extreme mass, against technologies that threatened galactic stability. But the truth was clear. Those laws were written because of one ship. The Car Dominion finally understood defeat. Their leaders called for surrender talks, offering reparations and territory. But humanity did not respond. Instead, the human ship stopped near Earth Prime. It did not fire. It waited. The car leaders realized the message. Humanity did not want revenge. It wanted certainty, a guarantee that this would never happen again. Under pressure from fear and reality, the car agreed to something unthinkable. They disarmed. Ancient weapons were shut down. Fleets were decommissioned under observation. Car worlds accepted human oversight in contested regions. The war ended without a final battle. But the galaxy had changed forever. Smaller species began to align with humanity, not because humans demanded it, but because humans offer protection without control, safe routes, fair trade, real security. Still, not everyone was satisfied. In the shadows of galactic politics, whispers spread. Other ancient empires felt threatened. If humanity could build one such ship, they could build more. Fear turned into plans. Secret coalitions formed. Research programs began. The goal was clear: either control humanity's power or eliminate it. Far from the council chambers and hidden fleets, the human ship continued its silent patrol. It had no pride, no hunger for dominance, only purpose. Because humans knew something the galaxy was just beginning to understand. When survival is on the line, humans do not stop at victory, they stop at certainty. And the galaxy was not yet certain enough to fear is quiet before it becomes violent. Across the galaxy, ancient empires watched humanity with forced smiles and polite words. Trade continued. Treaties were signed. But behind closed chambers, something darker was forming. A secret alliance was born. It had no official name, no public face. Later, historians would call it the Silent Concord. It was made of the oldest powers in the galaxy, species that had ruled for tens of thousands of years. Species that believed the galaxy belonged to them. They shared one belief. Humanity had crossed a line. The human ship was not just a weapon. It was a threat to the balance of existence. If humans were allowed to keep it, every old empire would eventually fall. So they chose a different path. Not war, erasure. The Concorde did not plan to fight the human ship directly. They knew they would lose. Instead, they searched for weakness, not in metal or energy, but in origin. They studied human history, human biology, human psychology. One truth stood out clearly. Humans protect their own. If the ship could not be destroyed, then humanity would be forced to surrender it. The plan was simple and cruel. Strike Earth. Not openly, not with fleets, with precision. Hidden agents infiltrated human space using stolen technology and masked signatures. They targeted infrastructure, not cities, power grids, orbital elevators, communication hubs. The goal was chaos, not extinction, and it worked. On Earth, the sky filled with falling debris as satellites failed. Mars lost contact with its outer colonies. Civilian panic spread faster than any enemy fleet. Human command realized the truth. Immediately, this was not an accident. This was a message. The silent Concorde transmitted its demand. Deactivate the ship, hand over its core technology, accept permanent limits under Council control, or Earth would burn. For the first time since the war began, humanity hesitated. The human ship was far from Sol, responding to a distress call. Near the outer rim, it could return, but not fast enough to stop everything. Even with its power, it could not be everywhere at once. The galaxy was testing something deeper than weapons. Human choice. Human leadership gathered in silence. They knew the cost of surrender. Once the technology was given up, humanity would never be safe again. Another EOS-7 would happen, another warning, another silence. But Earth was not just a world. It was home. The human ship received the emergency signal. For the first time, it broke its patrol pattern. It did something no one expected. It accelerated beyond safe limits. Space folded violently around it. Sensors across the galaxy screamed as laws of physics bent. Stars appeared to shift as the ship forced a path directly towards Sol. The Concorde noticed too late. They had launched their final move. A hidden weapon, ancient and forbidden, was activated near Earth. It was designed to collapse a star system slowly, making rescue impossible. The human ship arrived at the edge of Sol space as the weapon powered up. For the first time, the ship showed strain. Its hull glowed white-hot. Systems pushed beyond design limits. But it did not slow. Instead of attacking the Concorde fleets, hiding nearby, the ship moved between Earth and the weapon. It wrapped space around the planet like a shield. Energy that could tear systems apart crashed against controlled gravity and vanished. Time itself slowed near Earth, buying humanity precious minutes. The message was clear to everyone watching. Humanity would not trade its soul for safety. The Concorde panicked. Their weapon was failing, their leverage disappearing in desperation. They prepared to fire everything they had at Earth, even if it destroyed them too. They did not get the chance. The human ship turned. For the first time, it did not disable or restrain. It erased. The Concorde fleets vanished in controlled flashes of light, removed from space with terrifying precision. No worlds were harmed, no civilians touched. Only those who chose annihilation faced it. When silence returned, Earth still stood. The Galactic Council did not speak. They could not, because the galaxy had just learned a final lesson. Humanity did not build that ship to rule. They built it so no one could ever force them to kneel. The galaxy entered a new phase after the failed attack on Earth. There were no celebrations, no victory speeches. Humanity did not announce triumph. Instead, something more unsettling happened. Everything became very quiet. The silent Concorde was gone. Entire fleets erased. Their leaders missing. Their influence shattered in a single moment. Ancient empires that had lasted longer than human civilization itself collapsed overnight. Fear spread faster than war ever had. Some species shut down their borders. Others dismantled their weapons in panic. A few tried to secretly copy what humanity had built. But they quickly discovered the truth. The human ship was not just advanced, it was unique. Its systems required human decision-making patterns, human risk tolerance, and human adaptability. Without those traits, the technology failed or destroyed itself. Humanity had unknowingly built something that could not be stolen. The Galactic Council finally broke its silence. They issued a galaxy-wide emergency decree. All research into extreme weapons was banned. All space-bending technologies were declared illegal. Any civilization attempting to build something similar would be treated as an existential threat. The decree had a name, the human exception. For the first time in galactic law, a rule existed that applied to everyone except one species, not because humanity demanded it, because no one dared challenge it. Still, fear does not disappear. It changes shape. Some younger species began to see humanity not as protectors, but as a future danger. Whispers spread that humans might one day decide the galaxy was better under their control. Human leaders understood this fear. So they made another unexpected choice. The human ship returned to deep space and stopped moving. It positioned itself in a neutral region, far from Earth, far from any major power. It did not patrol. It did not interfere. It simply existed, visible to all. A reminder. Humanity then opened talks, not commands, not threats, invitations. They proposed a new system, shared defense zones, open trade corridors protected by mutual agreement. Independent worlds could request help, but humans would never occupy or govern them. Freedom was safety. Some species accepted immediately. Others watched carefully, but over time, trust began to grow. Pirate attacks dropped. Border wars ended. Trade flourished in regions once controlled by fear. The galaxy began to heal. But deep in uncharted space, something old was watching. Beyond known star maps, signals echoed from a structure older than any empire. A machine intelligence left behind by a civilization long extinct. It had observed everything. The wars, the ship, the exception. Its conclusion was simple. Humanity had broken the natural order, and broken orders must be corrected. It sent a signal, not to fleets, not to governments, to the human ship itself. The signal was not hostile. It was not peaceful. It was curious. The ship detected it immediately. Systems that had never reacted before came alive. Defensive routines hesitated, unsure, because the signal did not come from known space. It came from beneath reality itself. Human scientists realized something terrifying. The ship had drawn attention, not from empires, but from something far older than the galaxy's laws, something that did not fear weapons, something that judged civilizations by whether they deserved to exist. The human ship did not move. It waited. And for the first time since its creation, humanity faced an unknown they had not prepared for, not a war of power, but a test. The signal grew stronger with time. It did not repeat. It did not change. It simply existed, pressing against the edges of reality like a question waiting for an answer. Human sensors struggled to understand it. There was no clear source, no energy pattern that matched known physics. It was not a message meant for humans. It was meant for the ship. The human ship reacted in ways its creators had never seen. Internal systems began communicating with each other without human input. Prediction engines ran simulations far beyond normal limits. Some systems shut down on purpose, as if choosing silence. Overexposure. Human scientists were divided. Some believed the ship was being hacked. Others believed something worse, that the ship was being evaluated. The signal finally changed. Space near the ship opened, not with force, but with calm precision. A structure emerged. Not a ship, not a station, a shape that hurt to observe directly. It existed in multiple positions at once, like a shadow cast by nothing. Human observers felt uneasy just looking at it. A transmission followed. "We observe civilizations at their peak," the presence said. "You have reached yours through imbalance." The voice was emotionless, ancient, and absolute. It explained its purpose. Long ago, it was created to prevent any one species from becoming dominant enough to destroy the natural diversity of intelligent life. When a civilization reached a certain threshold, it was tested. Most failed. Those that refused limits were erased. Human leaders listened in silence. They asked one question: what is the test? The answer was simple: deactivate the ship permanently. Prove that humanity would choose restraint over dominance. If they refused, the presence would intervene, not with fleets or weapons, but by collapsing the foundations of human space. No battle, no defense. Just removal. The galaxy watched in terror. For the first time, humanity looked small again. Human command debated urgently. Without the ship, humanity would be vulnerable. Old enemies could rise again. New threats would come. The galaxy was not suddenly kind, but the truth was unavoidable. The ship was power without equal. And power without limits always ends the same way. The human ship made the decision itself. Before any order was given, it transmitted a message to Earth. "I was built to protect humanity," it said. not to rule existence. It explained what humans had slowly realized. The ship's greatest strength was not its weapons, but its presence. Fear had enforced peace, but fear could not last forever. True safety required trust. The ship began shutting down its highest systems. Space control fields weakened. Reality returned to normal around it. Its core stabilized into a dormant state. The ancient presence observed. Carefully, you accept vulnerability, it said. Why? The answer came from Earth, from millions of human voices unified into one message. Because we know what unchecked power does. We lived under it. We survived it. Silence followed. Then the presence spoke again. Test passed. The structure began to fade, slipping back beneath reality. But before leaving, it delivered one final truth. Your ship will never function as it once did, but neither will the galaxy forget what you chose. The signal ended. The human ship drifted quietly. In space, still massive, still powerful, but no longer absolute. Humanity had given up its greatest weapon, and in doing so, had proven something no empire ever had. They could stop themselves. The galaxy waited, uncertain and afraid, because now only one question remained. Would humanity survive without the shadow of its greatest creation? The galaxy did not collapse after the ship went silent. That surprised everyone. Weeks passed, then months. Trade continued. Borders held. Old empires did not rise again as many had feared. Pirates did not return in force. The expected chaos never came. Something else happened instead. Civilizations remembered. They remembered the wars that ended in minutes, the fleets that vanished without civilian loss. The moment when humanity could have ruled everything and chose not to. Fear slowly changed into respect. The human ship still existed, drifting in neutral space. Its weapons were dormant, its control over space gone, but its presence remained. Like a monument no one dared to disturb, humanity changed too. They did not rebuild another ship like it. They did not secretly restart its systems. Human scientists locked the designs away, not behind walls, but behind choice. No single person could ever activate such power again. The Galactic Council reformed. For the first time, humanity was not placed under limits. They were asked to help write them. New laws were created together, not based on fear of punishment, but on shared survival. The old phrase human exception was removed. There were no exceptions anymore, only responsibility. Smaller species began to thrive, protected not by human weapons, but by human presence and diplomacy. When conflicts rose, humans did not arrive with force. They arrived with mediation, with memory. We have seen where this road leads, they would say, and most listened. Years later, a child on Earth looked up at the night sky and asked a simple question. Is the big ship still out there? The answer was yes, but it doesn't fight anymore. Why not? Because it didn't need to. The ship had already done what it was built to do. It protected humanity long enough for humanity to learn how to protect itself and others without becoming a monster. Far beyond known space, the ancient presence continued its silent watch. Humanity was added to a very short list. Civilizations that chose restraint. Civilizations allowed to continue. In time, the human ship was finally decommissioned. Not dismantled, not destroyed. It was placed in orbit around a dead star, its systems fully silent. A warning and a promise, preserved forever. The galaxy moved forward, not ruled by humans. Not afraid of them. But changed by the day. A young species built something unstoppable, and then proved they were strong enough to stop themselves. That was why the galaxy outlawed that ship, not because of what it destroyed, but because of what it taught.